Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as the media witch hunt against Erik ten Hag steps up and United step into the same mistakes we've seen over the last 10 years. When will we learn? When will we listen? We'll delve into that. We're also going to be previewing a massive game for Manchester United against Nottingham Forest in 48 hours' time. We'll be playing them with a chance to go into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. I'll be showing you what I think is quite dynamic team that I think we should pick on Wednesday night. And could it be Erik ten Hag's last game? Some people want it to be. Could it really be? We'll delve into all of that as well. But I've got to be honest with you, I do feel rather depressed tonight. You may want to stick the knife in and make me feel more depressed, or you might want to try and listen and help me out on this because I'm baffled. I think it's almost like I'm living Groundhog Day. You know, it's almost like I could be here with Mourinho, I could be here with Ollie, I could be here with Van Gaal, I could be here with Rangnick. This is the 6th time we're going to do this, and it's getting less and less. It's like being in locked-in syndrome. Like, we're doing the same thing again. The same people are saying the same thing again. The same media outlets, the same ex-players, the same fans. Like, I find it incredible that we're in this position. I've heard Jamie Carragher talking about he thinks he's reinventing football. I mean, go and get a job as a manager, Jamie. You sound like a Scouse Pep. He thinks he's reinvented, like, why Man United are bad. Man United fans have been talking about it for ages, but Carragher thinks he's solved the problem on Monday Night Football. We'll talk about that. You got Gary Neville saying, I reckon Ineos and Sir David Brailsford have already made their decision on Ten Hag and talking like they're going to sack him. You've got old Luckhurst on his podcast saying Man United need to change the manager. You've got the Ten Hag go out brigade that we know we've got. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, they've obviously just been waiting for us to lose a game. Like, we have won our last 4 games. We lose to Fulham, get rid of the manager. I mean, do Newcastle and Chelsea not exist anymore? Am I living in like the Truman Show where Chelsea and Newcastle don't exist? Did Newcastle not just get humiliated at the Emirates on Saturday night and they're below us by about 7 points? That must not be the case. Did Chelsea not just lose in extra time to a bunch of kids with £1 billion? That must just not be the case. I'm just baffled. I'm baffled by the media pile-on with Manchester United. And the trouble is, what some of our fans think is they start listening to Gabby Agbonlahor and Jamie Carragher. They hate us. They hate us. They want us to sack the manager because they want to destabilise us. But you start thinking they're talking sense. They don't care about Man United. Carragher hates Man United. Martin Keown hates Manchester United. Gabby Agbonlahor hate Manchester United. And they're all saying sack Ten Hag because they want us to keep going through this cycle, which is getting less and less all the time. It used to be a manager got 3 years. Then it came to 2.5 years. Now we're going down to 2 years. Ten Hag would get 2 years and we're going to sack him as well. I think that there's some amazing things going on at United at the moment. Absolutely amazing. But I'll take you back to 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 95% of our fan base wanted Ten Hag. The media didn't. Certain ex-players didn't. And it was for about 6 weeks a pile-on from fans saying Ten Hag's the manager to get. Ten Hag's the manager to get. That's the manager. Don't listen to the media and their Poch thing. It's Ten Hag, it's Ten Hag. And ex-players didn't want Ten Hag either. Here we are 2 years later. Media and ex-players want Ten Hag out. Some of our fans that wanted Ten Hag want him out. Is there not a lesson to be learnt there? They never wanted him in the first place. You did, and now some of you want a shiny new toy. Where's your courage and your conviction to stick? Why did you want him 2 years ago? What made you all go on social media 2 years ago and saying, I want Ten Hag, I want Ten Hag? Are you now going to tell us you're wrong? Because if you're going to tell us you're wrong, maybe you're wrong about getting rid of him as well. You all wanted him, and now you don't want him. Why don't you want him? Oh, because I actually think I made a mistake. I don't think he was actually a good coach. I thought he was going to play like Ajax. We're not playing like Ajax because he's had no structure above him. We're not playing like Ajax because he's never been allowed to get rid of the players that Rangnick or Mourinho or even Ollie were allowed to get rid of. Until a manager's given a structure at Manchester United, they'll never succeed. And I tell you what as well, I don't think Ineos are listening. I don't think they're listening at all. But I tell you what terrifies me You got Luckhurst, you got Carragher, you got all these people saying that Ten Hag needs to go. The majority of this fan base is still behind the manager. I know 30, maybe 40% of you want to get rid of him, but the majority of the fan base are behind the manager. How dangerous are Ineos going to play this game? Are they going to remove a manager because they think that's the right thing to do, because people in the media are saying it? Or are they going to actually listen to the fans? I listened to Sir Jim Radcliffe's interview last week, and he said they're going to listen to the fans. Well, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Sir Jim or Sir David, but the majority is still with the manager. So if you've already made your decision, or you're listening to ex-players or the media, hate to remind you, but at this moment in time, we still have a majority of United fans behind the manager, because the majority of the Man United fans are probably like me and have realised we're Henry VIII FC. We get bored with a wife and we get rid of them. That's what we do. This will be the 6th time. How are you any different to the Glazers if you come in and sack a manager after 2 years? You're actually worse than the Glazers. You're giving him less time. No structure. Massive amount of players out. Clearly a problem with that dressing room. You know what? I'll leave it there because I want to get on with the preview and I want to talk about some topical stuff that's come out. But I feel sickened tonight. I feel sickened that this football club is thinking about sacking a manager again and letting the same players win again. Have you ever considered that if we sack Ten Hag and replace him with somebody that you don't like after 18 months, you'll be asking for him to get sacked as well? We are in a locked-in syndrome in our fan base, and some of our fans don't even realise it. I heard somebody at the weekend saying, well, I did want Ten Hag, but he's clearly not the right guy. And if we get Nagelsmann, I'll stick by him for 5 years. But you said the same thing 2 years ago. You won't stick behind Nagelsmann for 2 years because when the results aren't working out, you'll go, nah, he's not the right guy. He's not the right guy. We need to get rid of him. How can you trust yourself to think that a new manager's the way to go and you're actually going to back them? I don't think you will back them because I think you're locked into this shiny new toy cycle that the Glazers have presented to us. And the terrifying thing, the thing that depresses me tonight is, one, the majority of the fan base is still with the manager. And two, the majority of the fan base is still with the manager because they know the thing that needs to happen is to clear out this toxic set of players that have been here for too long that need to go. But if you bring a new manager in, as Ben Foster said on the show today, he's been in a dressing room, new manager comes in, he wants to give everybody a chance again. Sancho's coming back. Nobody's getting sold. They're all going to get another chance under Julian. And we'll be back here again in 2 years' time. But I would urge Ineos to listen to the fans on this. I know there's some of you that want Ten Hag out, but you're still in the minority. It's been proven in every single poll. The majority of the United fans still back Ten Hag. So if Ineos are going to replace the manager, they're doing something where they're listening to themselves, ex-players, or the media. Well, you're meant to listen to the fans. The fans want this manager to be given a proper backing, proper support, and, most important of all, the authority with you to remove the toxic element in that dressing room. And if that doesn't happen, then I fear for the future of this football club. Because, yeah, you know, I think Nagelsmann's a good coach. I think De Zerbi might be a good coach. But I don't think there'll be a good coach trying to get something out of players that Ollie, Rangnick, Ten Hag, and some of them, Mourinho, failed to get a tune out of. I think we need to stick with the manager and remove the players. It's so obvious, but I must admit, and this is from me to the Ten Hag out brigade, the more I hear, the more I think there is a movement to remove him. You listen to the media tonight, you listen to some of the journalists close to the club, they've been waiting for this one loss and they're absolutely moving the goalposts at every moment. Even if he gets Champions League, he should still be sacked. I mean, what? Am I supporting a different club for the last 10 years? Have we been winning the treble for the last few years? I mean, I don't know where they think the standards are. It's incredible to me. But look, you're probably going to get the change that you want if I'm being honest. And that's why I just feel very, very sad at the moment. I feel very, very disheartened by the club that I love because I don't really think that this new ownership is going to do what needs to be done. I hope that, look, if they replace the manager and it goes really well, I'll be the first one to say, you know, they got it right because I love the club. It doesn't matter to me who's in charge or who the manager is or who plays for us as long as we win. I'll be honest about that. If Fellaini had won the Ballon d'Or, I wouldn't have cared. But I also have an opinion, and this just feels like this just feels like a Glazer decision again. And I know it's not, but it feels like a Glazer decision where, you know what, we're not playing as well on the pitch. Let's change the manager again. I'm Henry the Eighth, I am. Henry the Eighth, I am. You know, let's get rid of another wife. I'm not the problem. Let's get another wife in. And I mean, at some point, this has to change. Even a Ten Hag out has got to say, at some point, you've got to hold the dressing room accountable and back a manager. I mean, I said it about Mourinho. If I could go back in time, I'd have kept Mourinho and binned off the players that stabbed him in the back, some of which are still here now. So, yeah, at some point, we've got to do that. But, yeah, I really cannot see for the life of me why Ineos think changing the manager is the way to go and giving some of these players what would be their third or fourth chance. It's incredible. Anyway, Radders has gifted 10 memberships. Martin Dobson's a new member. Ollie got 3 years. Ten Hag deserves at least the same as Charles. I mean, that to me is incredible. The fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was given 2.5 years. It was 2.5 years, Charles. No, I think Ollie was... How long was Ollie given? Ollie came in as an interim. I can't remember how... Well, look, Solskjaer should never get more than Ollie. Never in a million years. Unfortunately, a lot of fans' opinions are influenced by the mainstream media, says Philip. You know what? I can't believe that of you. You know, I can't believe that of you. I've seen people retweeting Gabby Bonglahor, Jamie Carragher. I'm like, oh my God, you can't even see the enemy. These are not fans of United. In fact, they detest us. And you're retweeting them. Like, unbelievable. Just for interest from the United Stand fans, can we do a poll? Nagelsmann or Ten Hag? Also, when are we getting new member badges, says AJ. We're not doing new member badges. Why would we change the member badges? They're standard. They go through like that. Mark, 6th place is not getting us anywhere, says Dizzy. Absolutely spot on, Mark, says Jonathan. We were told by the same journalist that there were snakes in the dressing room when Ten Hag was hired. Newsflash, we haven't got rid of the snakes, says Billy Welsh. Well, there's stuff about that I can tell you, actually. There is stuff I can tell you about that we'll get into in a bit. But look, let's talk about the Nottingham Forest game because I suppose, to be topical, could this be Erik Ten Hag's last game? Honestly, I don't know. I thought we were getting an ownership that knew the problems, that were coming in and look, any new owner to me was meant to be coming in, sorting out the structure above the manager, improving on the recruitment, you know, improving on the money that we pay, clearing out the dressing room. I didn't think number one was to sack the manager. I really didn't think that. And if that's what Ineos' plan is, then I'm stunned. I really am. I thought the most obvious thing to do was director of football, CEO, and major removal of players this summer. I really didn't think third choice would be sacking the manager, and I disagree with that. And that actually worries me that might be the case. But you know, I don't think people can see the wood for the trees on this. I mean, if one of their first things to do is replace the manager because they want their own guy, I mean, that's just very self-centered, I think. Yes, you own the football club. Yes, you own 25%, but you're also meant to be a lifelong Manchester United fan. What have you been doing for the last 10 years, Sir Jim, if you think replacing a manager's the way to go? We've literally done this 6 times now, if you do it. Oh, but you're in charge, so it'll be different this time. Nah, I think we need to remove players before we remove the manager. I can't, that's a non-negotiable for me. I'm a hypocrite if I say, yeah, get rid of the manager. I've always said, get rid of the players before you get rid of the manager on this one. And I have to stick by it. I have to. I don't care if I'm in the minority or not. I just can't. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And if they let certain players off the hook again, we will never change. We will never change as a football club. But look, let's make it topical. Let's talk about the game against Nottingham Forest, because massive game against Forest, as we know. Cup game to get into the quarterfinals. This is how I would line up for this. But first of all, there is a running theme through here. So you'll see names on there that you'll go, why are they being picked? Well, there's nobody else. Honestly, there's nobody else. Unfortunately, our happiness when it comes to United performances is still in the hands of players that are ridiculously inconsistent, as we know. And we've got no one back from injury either. So, you know, this is about as good as it gets. And it's a weird team. I agree with that. But what I did want to say is, could it be Ten Hag's last game? Well, I just don't know in this world. If they want to get rid of the manager, why are they keeping him? Why, if you want to get rid of the manager, sack him and, you know, put Darren Fletcher in charge. If that's your plan, crack on with it and let us all have to deal with it. Because if he did lose tomorrow, then why would you bother keeping him? If he's not your guy, why bother keeping him? Let the players win. Let you get your ego boost of, you know, doing your big PR piece, and let the players win. And you know, send that message out. You've won again. Because I tell you what, if you sack Ten Hag after the Forest game, we'll probably beat Man City, because these players will go, right, time to try, time to prove it was the manager. We've seen it all before. Mourinho got sacked. Couldn't buy a win. Mourinho gets sacked. Couldn't buy a goal. Mourinho gets sacked. Suddenly we go on a 3-month winning streak. We know how this works. So if you're going to sack Ten Hag, don't wait till the summer. Do it now and fall into the trap of what these players do. Because suddenly, I tell you, certain players that have been very crap this season will suddenly be playing for the Ballon d'Or. Because that's what they do. They do that. They get a manager sacked and then, oh, right, here we go. Time to try now. And I think that's more than likely what's going to happen. I don't know why Martinez is in the team. Sack the admin. I wish. I bloody well wish. You know it's not Martinez. Well spotted in the chat. But look, I saw a clip from Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football tonight. I've never seen him so excited on TV. He's bouncing around like he's got trampoline feet, trying to tell. I reckon he thinks, you know, like you know the guy that probably, you know, had the vaccine for COVID and was running around saying, I've got it. It's like Jamie Carragher solved Man United's problems on Monday Night Football. Now, I don't mind Carragher. You know, I think him and Neville are good. You know, I don't agree with everything, but I think they're good. But I'm watching Monday Night Football, and he's there with his big screen, bouncing around going, I'm not going to do the accent, because it's all about the structure. But he's basically telling us, right? You know what he told us? He said this. Man United's big problem is the gap between the defence and the attack. You know, the midfield's trying to press, and then the ball goes through it, and you could park a bus between the defence and the attack. Well, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. I must tell the chat at 8 o'clock. Jamie Carragher's figured out our problem, everybody. The gap between the defence and the attack is massive, and teams break through our shitty press, and then they pass their way through to goal. I can't believe it. No wonder he's got a job on Monday Night Football analysing with a big screen. The guy's a genius. Why didn't he go into management? Pep Guardiola must be shitting himself. Look, sarcasm aside, Jamie Carragher's actually correct, but we've all been talking about this all season. You know, Mainu being overwhelmed, Casemiro being overwhelmed. We've seen it all season. But what Jamie Carragher won't tell you, because it doesn't fit the agenda of let's pile it all on the manager and get him sacked, and it's the same with the Ten Hag outlaw, well, he's right. It's the manager's fault. Well, it is the manager's fault. But what would you do? Because there's only one thing you can do. We're all tactical geniuses, but again, opinion without accountability, right? I've sacked Ten Hag, and I've just took a TikToker who does all little Instagram, TikTok little clips on tactics, who is more than happy to tell you where Ten Hag's going wrong, but he never does a clip on what he'd do because he'd get rinsed, right? Man United against Fulham, right? Our defence and our attack are miles apart, and our press was shit. So Fulham kept playing through the press and breaking on the back four. We saw it, right? That's on the manager. Yeah, it is, right? The only way you can stop that is, why is the defence playing so far back? Because it's slow. It's got Lindelof and Maguire in it. They can't play a high line. They have to go back to the edge of the box. Otherwise, they're going to get exploited. So your defensive line's got to be low. Which means, and in the words of Jamie Carragher, the only thing you can do, you've got to be compact. In this game, you've got to be compact, Gary. You've got to be compact. Okay, let's go compact, Gary. Let's go compact, Jamie. We have to have a deep line because we've got no pace. But in the words of Carragher, you've got to be compact. So how can we be compact? Well, the only thing we can do to be compact is take the midfield and the attack back to the defensive line. So basically, the solution is to park the bus at Old Trafford against Fulham. Mic drop. You do that, and you're all on here, and Carragher's on his show tonight going, He's got to go. He's got to go. Parking the bus against Fulham. Oh, he's got to go, Gary. He's got to go. You can't do that. You can't. It's Fulham, Gary. It's Fulham. Manchester. You've played in great Manchester United sides. You can't park the bus against Fulham. Well, that's the only thing you can do, Jamie. You either do what we did on Saturday, try and press Fulham, but we've got to keep a deep line, or we park the bus and play compact. There's no in between with those players. That's all we can do. So you can see all these clips, and they're right. Carragher's right. The TikTokers are right. They are right. I'm not slagging them off. They are right. We are leaving a massive gap in midfield because we're trying to press and attack, but we have to have a deep line because of who's in there. You've got two choices. You do what we did and try and win, and you have to accept that you're going to get broken on, or you park the bus at home and you stay compact. You park the bus at home to Fulham and you've got a whole world of shit in a different way. And that's what I mean. It's like people think that Ten Hag is sending a team out to get battered by Fulham because he's thick and hasn't got any tactics. I've read his fucking book. Everyone was wanking off to his book 12 months ago. I've read his book. The guy knows what he's on about. He's not some bloody bold Dutch fraud that these prats call him, who's just, wandered in, played a bit of Football Manager. He actually does know the game. He is a good coach. He might not be good enough for Man United. He might never be a great coach, but he is a good coach and he knows the game. And I'll trust him over Carragher, who's never done it, and I'll trust him over a bunch of TikTokers, and I'll trust him over me because he is a good coach. And he's not sending a team out and not seeing what we're all seeing. If we're seeing it, he's seeing it. And it's a risk. It's risk. It's risk and reward. It's like we're playing Fulham at home. We've got to get after them. But I can't put my defensive line on the halfway line because if I do, they're going to kill us on the break even more. And you either park the bus and go compact or you try and win. It's as simple as that. And I just see a witch hunt. I just see a witch hunt today. I mean, I was listening to some bloody podcast with some journalist. I'll tell you what, I'd love to sit him down. I'd love to sit him down. He'd be terrified to do it and properly talk about football because he ain't got a bloody clue. He's talking like he knows better than Ten Hag. And, we're all geniuses in our own head. But tell me what you do with this team against Fulham at home that's any different to that unless you're parking the bus. Because we haven't got the players to do anything else. I'd love us to play like we did against Wolves. We don't have Martinez. We don't have Luke Shaw. We don't have Rasmus. I mean, I'm putting Scott McTominay up front against Nottingham Forest and I'm putting Amrabat at left back. I ain't playing any... I'm not playing fucking Arsenal football or Man City football or Ajax football. I'm not even playing Brighton or Spurs or Villa football. I'm playing... pray to God we win football on the break. I don't know why people don't look at that team and go, yeah, we're not playing any semblance of decent football with that. It's a battle and let's hope that quality comes through. Like Ben Foster said at lunchtime, the reason he's not taking Bruno and Rashford off is because if you take them off, the players you bring on might be slightly better in form, but they're not as good at match winning, and he's keeping Bruno and Rashford on for a moment of magic. I'm all for the criticism. I get it. We played shit against Fulham, and everybody's right. You could park a fucking jumbo jet in the gap between our defence and attack. You're absolutely correct. But there's nobody going. It's almost like people think Ten Hag is stupid, and we should be pinging the ball about like prime Barcelona. Impossible. Absolutely impossible with the players we have at our exposure at the moment. You either park the bus or you try and do what we did. Now, when we play at Man City at the weekend, we won't do what we did against Fulham because we're away from home against a good team. We will be compact. When we play against Forest on Wednesday, I think we win because we will be compact. But when you're at home to Fulham or Sheffield United or Everton, you can't park the bus. You've got to go at them. I saw what happened to Fulham. I didn't like it, but I'd rather do that than park the bus. And that's what I mean. We all get very angry and we all get very stubborn about our opinion, but please, for the love of God, think it through. Think it through. we are never, I don't care if Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp walk in and take over that club for the rest of the season, we are not playing good football with that set of players. You know, Harry Maguire's had a good season for us, but he can't play a high line. Victor Lindelof has been a good servant to the club, but he can't play left back. Neither can Amrabat. Scott McTominay cannot press up front like Højlund. Neither can Rashford. Bruno Fernandes is woefully out of form. Rashford, as we know as well. It's a hard season ahead of us. And look, the thing is, I said when we were winning, we will lose some games. But unfortunately, people have already cashed their checks, haven't they? So look, I think against Nottingham Forest, I'll get in some of your comments, of course. I think against Nottingham Forest, this is how I would go. Onana, Dalot, Varane, Maguire, and I'd put Amrabat at left back. I know some people think Amrabat's a nightmare at left back, but Lindelof's a fucking... If Amrabat's a nightmare at left back, Lindelof's a bloody... I don't know what he is. But what Dalot does is invert into the midfield. Well, Amrabat's a midfielder. So if we're going to invert into the midfield, I'd rather Amrabat played there. He's more mobile. He's got a better passing range. Amrabat at left back. It's not ideal, but I would do that. Midfield 3, I don't even know if Casemiro's fit. I think Lindelof might be injured as well. If Casemiro's not fit, it messes up my whole plan. I'd play... If Casemiro's not fit, it's got to be Mainu and Eriksen because there's nothing else. Bruno. Why are you picking Bruno? Because I think in Bruno and Rashford, something somewhere's got to click. Like, it's professional pride, lads. You know, I'm sat here as a United fan with all my heart saying, go out there and prove us wrong. Like, please do. I don't dislike either player. I'm fed up to the back teeth of you. I'm gutted with you and disappointed with you. But I think I'm like most United fans. I'm not saying sell him in the summer. I'm not saying I've had enough. I'm not saying fuck off like some people are. I'm saying, please, for the love of God, switch it on and prove us wrong. Because we bloody need it. Give us something this season. It's only fucking February. Switch it on. Lift your heads up. Switch it on. You know, I'm not dropping Bruno for fucking some kid from the under-18 like some people say. And I'm not dropping Rashford for another kid. Go out there and prove what you're all about. Please. Garnacho back on the right. And you know what? I never thought I'd say this. Play Scott McTominay down the middle or play Ahmad down the middle. Don't put Rashford there. Don't switch Garnacho to the left. Don't put Anthony on the right. Put Garnacho on the right. Put Rashford on the left. They were playing well there with Rasmus. That's where they're best players. Play them there and put Scott McTominay or Ahmad up front. Now, people will laugh about Ahmad. Ahmad can play there. He's not physical, but he's quick and he can close down. If you want to play the ball into a number 9's feet, put Ahmad there. If you want to put a bit of physicality in there, put McTominay there. It's as simple as that. Look, it's not pretty, but it really accentuates and identifies the enormity of the job that we face at the moment. I'm putting Scott McTominay up front for Manchester United, or I'm putting Ahmad there, because there's nothing else. But don't put Rashford there. Rashford's not good up front. He's not good off the right. Rashford's a left winger. Put Rashford on the left wing. You know, he's been inconsistent enough without putting him in a place where he doesn't want to play. Put him on the left wing. Put McTominay up front, and let's just see what we can go and do. And for the love of God, if you love the fans and you love the club and you're there as 11 players, please go and put a fucking shirt on and play like you care. Please. I don't care whether you don't like Ten Hag. I don't care whether you feel like you've been treated unfairly. Just go out there and give us a fucking game of football. Go out and give the fans a little bit, because that Fulham game absolutely devastated me and many others. I know some people probably celebrated it because they want the manager out, and some of those are probably journalists, let's be honest. But the real fans of this football club want Manchester United to win, whether they're Ten Hag out or Ten Hag in. The real fans of this football club want Manchester United to win. For the love of God, go out and give us something, because this is horrible at the moment. I've not, the amazing thing is, after the Luton game, I've not felt so positive in a long time. And then after the Fulham game, I've not felt so negative in a long time. The negativity around this football, the gobby people gobbing off, these rumours that Ineos are going to sack the manager. I'm just like, I've been here before. I don't want a shiny new toy. I've been here before. Some people don't remember it's Groundhog Day. I do, and so do many of you. We've been here before. And what really, really scares me is seeing the same people every 2 or 3 years going, sack the manager and get this manager in. No, this is the manager to go. We'll stick with this manager. And I can see people in our chat who were saying in the summer, no matter what happens, you've got to get rid of the players before you get rid of the manager. And I'm never going to turn on the manager. And then I see the same names in the chat going, get him out, get him out. And I'm like, oh my God, this cycle continues. It's all well and good before the season starts to say we can't sack another manager. It must be the players that go. And then the same people go, sack the manager. And it's the definition of insanity. And the scary thing is, I don't even mind Nagelsmann, you know. I think he's a good coach. I don't mind Hansi Flick. I think he's a good coach. And if they end up coming in, I'll back them like I backed David Moyes, who I didn't want. But it would terrify me because I'll be like, is it going to be 18 months this time? Are they going to give him a year? With every manager, it's becoming less and less and less. And with every sacking, the patience is becoming less and less because we kept the same manager for 26, 7 years. We didn't sack a manager for nearly 30 years. Now, we'll change it like we change our trainers. And it will only get worse. The more we do it, the more we'll demand it. And I look at Arsenal. Arteta, eighth title race. 8th, Arteta out. 8th, Arteta out. Print the t-shirts. Title race. Klopp, took him years to get that team where it is now. Sir Alex, took him years to get that team where it is. But we just keep going shorter and shorter with the gaps. And also, I mean, you still have to surely look at the injuries and go, we're going to sack a manager that finished 3rd in the league, got us to 2 cup finals, who has had to endure a takeover and has had to miss 2 or 3 of his best players for a lot of the season. But yeah, let's pin it all on the manager. I can take a loss, but when there's no effort, it's like some of those players forget without us, they don't have a job or wages. Play for the fans, please, says Martin. We need to drop Bruno, says Frank. He needs to see the game from a different perspective for him to realise. Look, Frank, look, if Mason Mount's fit, I'm dropping Bruno. Just to teach him a lesson. Just to give him that kick up the backside. Just to give him the accountability. 100%. 100%. Same with Rashford. If you've got the luxury to do it, drop them. Definitely drop them. But we haven't. Look at the team I'm picking. You take Bruno and Rashford out, what are we doing? You know, Eriksen at 10, got no legs. Anthony on the left. This is what I mean. I'm not picking. I'm picking them in the hope that they listen and do something for us. But yeah, I agree. If we had that, if Man was fit, it's got to be worth a go. Do you think Ten Hag should do high line, quick passing, no matter the players, to show director of football which players aren't good? Fans are obsessed with the style of play, says Nick Hill. He's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. You know, I know it and you know it and everybody knows it. Forget what you think about who the manager should be. You know, if you're Ten Hag out, he can't win. And that's, you know, probably puts a smile on your face, but you know it. If he played compact at home against Fulham and parked the bus, he'd get called. I've seen it. I've seen Mourinho do it. I've seen Van Gaal do it. I've seen Ollie do it. You get absolutely slated. Oh, he's survival football. Look, he's shitting himself. Survival football. Ollie did it, didn't he? After he got beat by Liverpool, he came up with a back 5. I think we did it a couple of times. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't when people have made their mind up. Bruno at right wing is stupid, says JM. I hope you're well, Mark. Wasn't Berardi interested in Ten Hag before? Why shouldn't Ten Hag be given a chance with him and Ashworth with the new structure, says Dominic. I do think it's getting to a point now where Ineos could shut it down. They could shut it down. They could either sack him or back him. And I understand why they don't want to do that, because they might want to just see how the season ends. But sometimes in football, you can't do that. It's a little bit like PSG with Mbappe. They haven't announced that he's leaving, but everyone knows he's leaving. And they don't want to announce he's leaving because they might play Real Madrid in the Champions League. But it gets to a point where what you want to do, you can't do. You've got to put out a statement. And I think with, as I said, if they're getting rid of him, I actually think they should sack him ASAP. And people might be, oh, what? Goldbridge says Ten Hag should get sacked ASAP. But I don't want him to go. But I'm sure everybody agrees with that. I'm sure the Ten Hag out brigade are going, yeah, Goldbridge's first bit of sense is spoken in ages. And I'm sure the Ten Hag in brigade is going, well, yeah, if it's going to happen, I don't want it to happen. It makes me sick, but fucking get on with it. Like, this grey area is not good. Because what happens is you get people like me who are like, this is ridiculous. Like, no matter what happens, it's over scrutiny. It's a bloody, it's a toxic mess. And then you've got the people who want him out, journalists, ex-players, fans, who just are building a crescendo and overanalyzing absolutely everything because they're like, get him out, get him out, get him out. And, you talk about strong leadership, and it has been strong with getting Barada, and it has been strong with getting Dan Ashworth when they get him. But I do think they need to make a statement about it because it weirdly, and it shouldn't be happening, and they might be looking at it and going, this is weird, but it is building into something incredible, especially when you look at what Eddie Howe's doing at Newcastle and what Poch is doing at Chelsea. But the media want to dismantle Man United. I've seen it all my life. They want to. This is why Sir Alex Ferguson stopped speaking to certain journalists for a long period of time, because people want to break Man United down. And some of you aren't old enough to know this, but the older fans will know. Because we've not been successful for so long, some of our fans think, nah, they're not that bothered about us. They fucking are. They've always wanted to break us down. They always have, and they always will. And they'll dismantle us. These ex-players that don't support Man United, they're not telling us to sack Ten Hag because they want us to bring a manager in and do well. At least the Ten Hag out Man United fans want that. Old Carragher and that lot, they don't want us to sack Ten Hag because they want us to do well. They want us to sack Ten Hag because they want us to keep doing this every couple of years. They want to see us, make our problems bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we've not even mentioned, if you sack Ten Hag, how many different pieces have you got. You've still got Van Gaal signings, you've still got Mourinho signings, you've still got Ollie signings, then you've got Ten Hag signings, then the new manager wants his signings. What do you do if the new manager doesn't want a 5'10" centre-back? We go on about Martinez, but he's quite unorthodox. I love Martinez. It was Ten Hag's pick. Not many teams, not many managers want a 5'10" centre-back. People say, well, he's got to get rid of Anthony, he's got to get rid of Casemiro. What if you don't like Onana? What if he doesn't like Martinez? What if he doesn't like any of the youth? People don't think about that sort of stuff. I mean, look, I like Nagelsmann. I do like Nagelsmann, but I listened to a lot of what Nagelsmann had to say when he went to Bayern Munich, and he sounds exactly like what Ten Hag said when he came here. I can't do it without the players. So anybody who wants Nagelsmann, he needs to clear out. But he won't do it in his first summer because he won't know what he wants to clear out, by which time he's had a year with these players who might have turned on him by then, and then you find yourself out. I hope you're well, Mark. Hi, Mark. Always love watching the United stand. Who are the first three players you would get rid of in the summer, says Foggy? Well, I'm not going to say that because I need some of these players to perform on Wednesday night, and that's why I'm not going to say it. How about starting by telling Bruno to stay in the midfield and not hoof the ball, says Michael. What baffles me, says Romy, is that they played a high line at times last season, Chelsea away, Spurs home, so why not do it this season when Varane is available, says Romy. Because you got Lindelof at left back, mate. You can't play a high line. You're going to get absolutely overrun. Did Carragher and Neville, the TikTokers and the journalists, work underneath the person they all called the greatest, Pep? No. Did Eric Ten Hag? Yes. So sit down and learn about the games, as Martin Saunders. Look, I'd remove Neville from this. I don't think Neville said anything bad. All he said is, I think that Ineos may have already made their decision about the manager. And I actually haven't got a problem with that. If they've made their decision, get on with it. Don't leave us speculating for 6 months, because to be honest with you, that's a Glazer tactic. If Ineos have made their decision on the manager, sack him. What does it matter? If Gary's right, in the sense that Ineos may have already made their mind up, sack him. Or keep it, or give him a new contract. If Ineos have made their mind up, why not sack him? Why not give him a new contract? It's not fair on anybody to keep him to the end of the season. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't do what the Glazers did and just let things, run their course. Do it. Back him or sack him. look, it's media-led, but we're almost at that point now because the media won't shut up about it. Can we all take a moment to thank R&B for getting our 1.8 million community to where it is? Where would we be with him? Oh, London. I don't know what that is. R&B music. I don't know. Why would Carragher want United to sack a manager that lost to Liverpool 7-0 to a team that he supports, says Marvin AM? And this view is exactly why I appreciate Goldbridge, as Thomas. Would you call up many young lads on the bench like Wheatley, Amas or Camboala? Well, it's a double-edged sword, Oran, isn't it? But look, on the game, I think we win. I think we win. Loads still to get into, but I think we win this game, and I'll tell you why. I think we win this game because we're not playing at Old Trafford, and weirdly, I think with the injuries we've got, we're a better team away from home than we are home at the moment. I think when you are away from home, you have to play compact, and that suits us because it leaves less space. I think we'll beat Nottingham Forest. I don't think it'll be pretty. I don't think it'll be easy. And I'm not saying that we're definitely going to win, but my prediction is a win because I think it will suit us to counter. What I would love to do to this team, if I'm being absolutely honest, and I will be blunt on this, what I would love to do to this team, if I could parachute 2 players in within reason. I mean, I'm not going to go and get bloody Messi and prime Messi or anything like that. If I could, it's not even about going for the best available. If I could take Bruno out of that team for Odegaard, and I could take, I don't know, Ollie Watkins and put him up front, I think we'd win the game. I think having a number 10 that keeps hold of the ball and retains possession and looks after the ball and a striker would change that team. Even with Rashford, Garnacho, even with Amrabat at left back, I think if we had a number 10 that just looked after the ball and didn't try all these Hollywood passes and lost us the ball all the time, I think we're desperate for that at the moment. Desperate for a number 10 who just looks after the ball. And I guarantee you Ten Hag is saying to Bruno, can you not just keep hold of the ball? But that's not who Bruno is. I've seen interviews with him. I'm not going to stop going for the risky pass. But yeah, I think we will win it, but it'll be a tough game, definitely. This is a long shot, but if City get charged before September, they will lose the Champions League spot and 6th place will get Champions League, says Nigel. Well, they won't. Tactically, we're a mess, says Sai. Mark, you're so into Ten Hag that you've become blind to mistakes. Players are mediocre, but so is Ten Hag. You don't need a director of football to defeat Copenhagen and Galatasaray. Only a fool will identify Anthony to be a United player. Well, I like what you've done, Sherlock. You've taken 3 very good examples of mistakes and used them as a reason to sack a manager, which I think, as you know and I know, is ridiculously over the top because every manager loses games of football. Every manager buys bad players. They are all big mistakes, but come on. They're not enough to sack a manager. Love the channel, always watch, but the idiots calling Eric out make me not want to watch sometimes. People act so entitled, expecting immediate success. I actually think that, you can't be disrespectful to opinion, but you can certainly disagree with it. I do think that there is an illness in our fan base with some where they've just inadvertently, subconsciously fell into a locked-in syndrome of cycle. It's like Christmas is every December and your birthday's every year and the summer's when you go on holiday. And I think inadvertently some of our fan base will scream and shout, get Nagelsmann, and then when results are bad in 18 months, sack him, there's another manager I want, because they're the same people that said, Ten Hag's the guy, Ten Hag is the guy, I don't want Poch, get Ten Hag. 2 years later, get rid of him, and what's that all about? What is that all about? It is, Ollie's at the wheel. Get rid of him. I think that, and I don't blame that. I don't blame people. You've got to be very stubborn to say, I won't do that again. I'm being stubborn. I will not say Ten Hag out because I do not believe it's the right thing to do. Sacking another manager is wrong. Removal of the players is right. That's my opinion. But this is a Glazer symptom. They've done it to you for so long that it's now acceptable for you when things don't go well to sack a manager. But I will always point at the fact that Arsenal under Arteta finished 8th twice and were shit. They weren't playing good. They weren't playing 8th like they are now. They were playing badly. And then suddenly, one summer. I wouldn't be surprised next season if Newcastle were back in the top 4 with Eddie Howe. I wouldn't be surprised next season if Chelsea were fighting for top 4 next season with Pochettino. As shit as they've been this year, look at Liverpool last year. They were shit. They were shit, Liverpool, last year. They were really bad. People were phoning up my Talk Sport show, Scousers, saying, I think Klopp's got to go. You know, that's the truth. This time last year, people were phoning up saying, I love Klopp, but I think it's time he went. Arteta out t-shirts, finished 8th. Next year, title race. Things can turn around very, very quickly. The evidence is there. Liverpool were shit last year. They were a busted flush. That team was too old. Henderson, Fabinho, they're done. They're finished. Salah wants to go. Van Dijk's not as good as he used to be since the injury. Liverpool are finished. Klopp's finished. They're finished. Next year, they're fighting for 4 trophies in every tournament they entered. Arsenal, 8th. Arteta's shit. Arteta out. 2 title races in a row since then. It can turn around really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. And if Ineos are thinking, no, this is not our guy, you're going to waste 20 million getting rid of him and bringing somebody else in. I think it's a massive mistake. I really do. But look, I don't run the football club. Mark, I've done that one. Okay, let me just catch up a little bit here. I feel like Sir Jim has made his mind up. He hasn't come out and backed Ten Hag, and it's sad because players already know they won. Look, Sir Jim Radcliffe is the owner of this football club in the sense of the footballing side of things. I completely disagree with this. I completely disagree with it. And, you know, I hope it works out with what he chooses to do. But it's a very dangerous thing, in my opinion, when the majority still back the manager and you choose to listen to the minority because you think that's the right thing to do. If you truly are a Man United fan that's been supporting this club all your life, I don't know how you can think Ten Hag's responsible. I don't. I don't even think the Ten Hag outers think Ten Hag's responsible. I really don't. I just think they want to change. I think they think that a shiny new toy might make things different. But I think even the Ten Hag outers know the players are the problem. I was listening to somebody the other day and they said, look, get rid of Ten Hag, he's absolutely shit. But get rid of Rashford, get rid of Bruno, get rid of Maguire, get rid of Varane. And I'm like, I don't think you can have both. I really don't think you can have both. I don't think you can get rid of the players and the manager, because a new manager will come in and he won't get rid of the players because he'll want to assess them himself. That lineup's killing me, says Claude. Imagine what it's doing to Ten Hag. Ross says, Neville's too busy slagging off Chelsea. Annoying nobody seems to be listening to him about Chelsea, but folk will listen to Carragher, says Ross. Well, we're Manchester United, aren't we? That's the problem. I'm not convinced at this point there is anything that convinced you he needs to go. I never supported him. Pedigree has never been there, nor shown, says Kazium. And yet I remember you 2 years ago telling us to get Ten Hag. No, I don't really, but, you know, you probably were. I feel like I've done that one from John. I wish people would stop saying we played better football under Ollie. We did at first, which is what players do. Then they turned on him, just like the others. Wish people would see this. I mean, Philip, the fact that people think we played good football under Ollie is hilarious. I mean, where do you think the term McFred came from? It was Harry the Hoover and Victor the Vacuum. It was a deep line. It was McFred in front of them. It was compact fullbacks and counter-attack. We didn't play good football under Ollie at all. The first 6 months we did. We sang a song and then it got forgotten. Don't rewrite history. Don't rewrite history. The football under Van Gaal was good for about 3 months and then it was boring as shit after we got beat by Leicester. Mourinho, first season was reasonably good and then it was boring as shit. We genuinely haven't played good football for 10 years. We haven't. Consistently. We've had little 3 months, but we've never had consistently good football. That's a lie. And you don't need to say Ollie was better than Eric or Mourinho was better than Van Gaal. The football's always been consistently shit for 10 years. We've not had many classic games at United in 10 years. Mark, I know supporting the team and manager after the loss is rough, but I appreciate you still backing Ten Hag and being sensible throughout, says this is for Shalom. Thank you very much. I still can't get my head around Mount being our player in real life and in the AFC. I look at him and think, what's he doing? I just hope he can start performing when he gets back. Mark, James Ducker from The Telegraph just quoted that Carrot Tactics video, agreeing with him. Feels like a losing battle, Mark, now. Media are vultures, says Jin. Well, the trouble with the journalists around Man United is they think they run Manchester United. They do. They think they're footballing geniuses and they think they know better than the manager. And we saw that in the press conference at the weekend. The treatment of Ralf Rangnick by those very same journalists was way worse than Ten Hag's ever had. They treated Ralf Rangnick like he was a German clown. like he had no pedigree, like he was talking shit, like it was his fault that team was underperforming and he hadn't inherited it from Ollie, and like he was just some sort of magician that was captivating idiot online fans. The way they treated Rangnick was a fucking joke, and that's where they lost me. Most of them lost me then. They are uneducated in relation to tactics of football. They've clearly learnt their footballing background in a class at university from stuff that's not relevant anymore. And they clearly think that they're more powerful than they are, that they can remove a manager. And they're unaccountable. They'll only go and speak to people that are their mates. They've been welcome to come on this show anytime they like and try and sit me down or anybody else, but they will not do it. But they are vultures, as you say, and they think they've got the power to run this football club. And as we saw, when United blocked them from the press conference, they shit themselves because that's all they've got. They work for big organisations that they didn't start. They're employees, and if United don't let them in, they're nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, you know what? With great responsibility becomes great power. And if you want to gob off and quote and write and undermine the managers, be prepared that some fans don't think it's right. And I don't think it's right. You're a journalist. You're a journalist. Do your job. Your job isn't to express your personal opinion about a manager because you think they should get the sack. Your job is to actually do some work off your own back instead of being an opinion piece. Be a proper journalist. Ask proper questions. Go and do proper journalistic work instead of my dressing room source says this. What dressing room source? I think most of the time their dressing room sources are probably their own opinion. But look, some people won't agree with me on that one. That's absolutely fine. But I've been monitoring. We've been doing press conference reactions for probably 6-7 years. And I hear the questions. And it's every manager. Every manager, they think they know more. And I listen to some of it. Some of them do podcasts. And I'm like, your opinion's no better than mine. It's no better than anyone else in the chat. It's hit pieces all the time. They've decided Ten Hag needs the sack. They decided Rangnick was a Wally. They decided Mourinho needed the sack. And we get the same cycle going round. More fool any fan that falls into that same trap all the time. And we get called toxic. Hilarious. We get called toxic, and yet we back the manager longer than any of them ever do. But we're toxic. Hilarious. I still can't get my head around, man. Mark, that was from Jin. I guess the moment Ashworth joins, the manager out talks will subside. Ten Hag and the board will for sure have a good talk and hope that Ten Hag can be given a chance, says Kizale. Rory says, I was hungover and grumpy for your 10 a.m. show yesterday. With a more calm hand, it will depend on the style of play Ineos want that will decide his fate, but lots of players need binning. I agree, Rory, I agree. We've had no football structure and 5 managers for a decade. Now that we are on the verge of getting a quality structure, why not give a manager a chance, as Kizale. Andrew has gifted a membership. Mark, isn't it more relevant if Barada wants Ten Hag as he was in the Ineos appointment, says Matt Ross. I agree. Look, all I hope is, in fairness, we can all argue and we can all debate, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't not go and have a beer with any Ten Hag outer. I wouldn't not go and have a beer with any journalist. I wouldn't not go and have a beer with Jamie Carragher. Beyond the bravado of opinion, because we're all very passionate, it's never personal. This is just, I don't respect that opinion. I don't agree with that opinion. I'd love to have a chat about it. That's how we do things here. But beyond all that, I actually hope that most of what we hear in the mainstream and from these journalists is just personal opinion. I hope that it isn't sourced opinion. I hope that it is just projection, because at this moment in time, I can acknowledge I feel very fed up and depressed. And I'm sure the people that want the manager out feel very fed up and depressed. And that makes you very expressive. I just hope that, like a few people have said, actually, they are going to just get a director of football in and back this manager and remove the players. I hope that's going to happen. I think that's the best thing to happen. We'll find out. Love your show. I'm Ten Hag in, says Jarrican. What do you think about clubs only be able to switch managers during the transfer window? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. If you tuned in late, one thing I will say is that if they're gonna, if Ineos have made their mind up, like Gary was saying they might have done, then I would sack him now. It's not fair on us. It's not fair on you. If they want to sack him, sack him. Don't keep him on false pretenses, because all that does is irritate everybody. Like, if we get to May, I'll think he's staying. So if you're not keeping him, get rid of him and deal with the fallout. You know, as somebody quite rightly said today, if they did go for Nagelsmann, we did it with Van Gaal. Van Gaal managed the Netherlands in the World Cup, and then he took the Man United job after that. But I think that would be catastrophic, because I remember that, and it was a chaotic summer where Van Gaal was trying to do two jobs, and you know, Villa are going to go into next season with momentum and the same manager. So are Man City, so are Spurs. Liverpool are going to change manager, but they won't be waiting on a manager to come in until July, because they won't be going for a Euros manager. Newcastle will have the same manager next year. I think Chelsea will have the same manager. We'll be the only one starting afresh with a new manager in July. And I think that, as we all know, is way, way, way too late. I do like Nagelsmann, and they could appoint him and say he's joining us after the Euros. But Van Gaal wasn't doing a lot of work on United when he was with the Netherlands. And that's a different story. The Netherlands were never going to win that World Cup. Germany are hosting the Euros. Germany are a big nation. They ain't going to allow Nagelsmann to be splitting responsibilities. So if we did get Nagelsmann, he won't start the job until July, and that's going to be way, way too late. We're basically going to be writing next season off. So, but then again, I saw something today about Dan Ashworth again, that we could end up paying £10 million for Dan Ashworth, but he won't start till January. I mean, look, I'm not going to throw Ineos any shade. Like the Barada deal, what they're trying to do with the director of football, we don't know what they're going to do with the manager. All I'm saying is, if they are sacking the manager, they're going against the majority of fans, which is a bad look. But as we've always said, we must be critical and analyse everything they do, because they're not the promised land. They've got to win us. We don't have to trust them. They've got to make us trust them. I didn't get that right, did I? We don't automatically trust them. They've got to earn that trust. But imagine the scenario, right? This terrifies me, right? Okay, listen to this. We don't get Dan Ashworth till January. We sack Ten Hag now. What kind of chaos are we cooking up in the summer then? A new manager under Murta, and Ashworth doesn't start till January. What sort of chaos is this? And this is what I mean. Opinion without accountability. Opinion without thinking it through. If Ashworth doesn't come in till January, you're definitely better off keeping Ten Hag, because at least there's stability of player and recruitment. If Dan Ashworth doesn't start till January, why would you get a new manager in the summer who works under a different director of football? It's just weird. It's weird, isn't it? So there's so much up in the air at the moment. And look, as I said, I just hope that the whole Ten Hag thing at the moment is just a reaction to a lot of people that really don't like him and have never liked him, who are using a Fulham result to stick the knife in. I hope that's what we're hearing here, because if it's more than that, I'm massively concerned. I'm massively concerned. But look, as Sally says, another disaster with Murta. It's business as usual with Murta. It's been business as usual with Murta for about 2 months, and yet he's been being sacked for 2 months. John Murta's not a bad person. He's not very good at his job, but he's not a bad person, and he is, doing his job to the best of his abilities, and it is business as usual. But if we can't get Ashworth till January, what summer are we cooking? It's weird. Are we writing another season off? What I'm saying is that there's so many layers to United, and if you think changing the manager is going to... This is a great point, actually. Some people are very obsessed about the manager. I'm not. I don't think it's the problem. I think there's many other things. But there are people out there, probably Carragher and co, who think the manager is the problem again. Well, Moyes was the problem. Van Gaal was the problem. Mourinho was the problem. Ollie was the problem. Rangnick was the problem. And now Ten Hag's the problem. And yet 10 years later, the problem's still there. It's not the manager. It's not. There's 6 reasons it's not the manager. Now, I'm not saying that those managers are the right people, but they're not the problem. And when I listen to stuff on the telly, on radio, and on social media, it's manager, 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 manager. Like they think if we replace the manager, it's suddenly going to be okay. It's not. It's not. And it never has been that. It's a lot more. I'm going with a Man United win against Forest. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. You've been absolute legends tonight. I am concerned. I do feel worried. I don't feel as positive as I did a week ago. And I am very concerned about this media witch hunt, because sometimes they do have information. Sometimes they do have sources. And it makes me worried that Ineos may have already made their mind up. And if they have, you're going against the majority of the fans, which apparently you were going to listen to. And that's very dangerous to do. But if they do it, I hope it works out. I just don't agree with it. I don't. It's like Old Trafford. If they want to knock it down and build a new stadium, I'm not chaining myself to it. I just think it's very, very sad and wrong. If they want to get rid of the manager, I'm not going to do anything silly about Ineos are the new Glazers. I hope it works out. I just think it's wrong based on the experiences we've had and the fact that these players win again. But I'm powerless to do anything about it. Daniel, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Wakas says Ten Hag outers must have not given Sir Alex time. They were all up the mum's chuff then, most of us. I wasn't. I wasn't. I was very young. Look, I can't comment on that. I can't say whether I was Sir Alex out or Sir Alex in, because I was so young at the time. I don't really know what sacking managers was really about, to be honest. So I'd imagine that most people were either very young like me or up the mum's chuff. So, yeah. In the modern day, Sir Alex would have got the sack, I agree. But new owners have to bring their own manager. It's got nothing to do with performance. No, they don't. No, they don't. New owners don't have to bring... You know, that's such bollocks by Plug Scope, by the way. A lot of new owners do change the manager. I agree. I said this months ago. Ten Hag's biggest problem, even if he's doing well, could be that new owners want a new manager. That does happen a lot. But let's, again, not let an opinion not be accountable. New owners equals new manager. Sometimes it does. It really, really does. Look at Todd Bowley and Tuchel. Look at Newcastle with Bruce. Look at Man City with Mark Hughes. It happens a lot. But hold on. New owner, new manager. Majority of Man United fans don't want to replace Ten Hag. So Jim Radcliffe's a Man United fan. He's a lifelong Man United fan. And he's the new owner. So, I'm sorry, I don't think new owner gets away with new manager when they're a lifelong Man United fan and the majority of the fan base don't want to change the manager. If Sir Jim Radcliffe is a Man United fan, I would roll a dice and say he's in the majority. So surely he doesn't want to change the manager unless he's part of the Ten Hag out brigade, in which case he's in the minority. Go ahead, do it. Take care, everyone. Speak to you all in a bit.